up, y'all? Welcome back to the show. My name is Angel Lorenzana, and I got my co-host here,
Rafa.
And today we have a very interesting guest. She is an astrologer, she is a tarot reader, and she's a model. And she does a couple other cool things that we're going to talk about. And her name is Scarlet Snicklefritz.
Hi, everybody. Good to be here. I'm glad to be here.
How you doing, Scarlett? How you feeling today? How you doing?
I'm great. I'm just happy. I'm happy to be back in Texas. I've been gone for a little while. I missed the sunshine. I even missed the dirt a little bit.
Missed the dirt? Okay. Yeah. There's a lot of that we got here.
Mm-hmm.
So where did you just come back from?
So I've been gone for 2 months.
2 months,
I
okay.
went to Israel. I went to Petra, and then I went to Scotland. I spent the majority of my time in Scotland. I kind of went all over.
Okay.
Why Israel?
So
I mean, there's a conflict right now, and there's a lot of horrible things happening. Why?
So I just had an opportunity, and I was really trying to do some internal healing. So I wanted to leave, and I wanted to leave so badly. I bought a one-way ticket to a war zone. I was literally 5 miles from the Gaza Strip.
Was it cheaper? I don't know.
I bet it was.
I hope so.
There wasn't a lot of tourism there. Yeah. I can.
Just the only one on the plane. Just wondering why am I the only one?
I really was.
Really?
I flew an Israeli flight down there. I probably was the only non-Israeli.
Was it a civilian plane or was it a military plane?
There was the very fundamental Jews on my plane, the ones that you see, on travel TV. Yes, and they did a lot of rituals before we got on the plane. They all said prayers. They did different sorts of things. So I got a vast. Israel's diverse. They're not all like that. It's a wide range of people. I was in a town called Ashkelon, and it was right along the Mediterranean. So 5 miles, probably the closest city to the Gaza Strip. It actually just got bombed last week. My friend works there. I had a friend that worked there and then lives in Scotland. So that's how I went to go visit.
But nothing happened while you were there, I assume.
Nothing happened while I was there.
Okay.
Every single apartment has a bomb shelter in it.
Okay.
But I actually felt really safe. Even though it was a very large discrepancy with where I was staying, it was the lap of luxury, very wealthy town right on the Mediterranean, just gorgeous, affluence, buildings, 5-star resorts.
Okay.
But 5 miles away from here to a Sonic, just complete destruction. And
can only imagine.
And so, I could just see it from afar. But I did cross into the border of Jordan. I went to Petra.
It's kind of like when you go to El Paso and you hear Juarez, ta 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 ta.
Yeah, I guess they kind of get used to it.
So what did you do while you were out there?
So I've been writing a book. I didn't know what I was going to even be writing about initially when I went down there. I just felt called to write. I just felt like it was heavy on my soul. It's a good way to heal.
Okay.
I have a lot to say. My kids even are like, Mom, you need to write a book. My life's very spicy.
Mm-hmm.
There's never a dull moment. So I took an opportunity. I saw an opportunity in front of me. I think a lot of times people regret choices that they don't take. And what was I going to do? Just sit here and be afraid and live in a cotton field for the rest of my life? Or take this opportunity in front of me. I think traveling is a good way to see for yourself, because you get a picture from the news. It might not be exactly accurate.
And you learn a lot, definitely, when you travel. And also, like you say, even the news from those countries and in those countries is a completely different.
It's completely different. And I actually did leave right after the election, which was refreshing because I watched absolutely no American news at all. I was very disconnected from the world, which was great.
Do they have any tourist areas per se where you go visit and there's a nice beach or a park or something?
There are very many nice beaches, nice parks. In Israel in particular, there's not a lot of tourism, especially right now. I don't particularly feel like they wanted me there per se. They did single me out, so I flew into Charles de Gaulle, that's Paris, one of the worst airports on God's ever-loving green earth. I don't know how many, I've traveled a lot. I used to be a travel agent. Well, you'd have to go there to understand. It's just an absolute clusterfuck. Y'all said I could cuss on this.
Yeah,
okay.
definitely.
Charles de Gaulle is a clusterfuck. Okay, so I missed my flight, and then, but they singled me out in particular.
How did they single you out? What did they?
Right.
What did they do?
So they took me into a special room.
Okay.
They went through my luggage with a fine-tooth comb. They asked me every personal question that you could ask. What are you doing? Who are you visiting?
Yeah.
How long have you known this person? And that was just initially getting there.
But is that the French police or is that the Israel
it was the
police?
Israeli flight.
They're tough.
You know, and for good reason.
They're not messing around. They're at war.
But I have a feeling that you didn't really raise any concerns. They were kind of just like, what is this kid doing here?
I don't exactly necessarily look like a terrorist, but you never can tell. You can't judge a book by its cover.
That'll be the perfect disguise though for a spy or something. I was like, wait a second.
If y'all have applications, I'm looking for a new career path. I would be a great spy, honestly. But but yeah, there weren't a whole lot of actual tourists there. I felt like I was probably the only American, which is very perplexing to me because a lot of people support Israel, a lot of churches. I know my mother's church, they fly Israeli flags. The Israelis don't really want you there. I didn't feel like.
Did you go to any of those religious places?
No, I did not.
You stay away from that.
I did not. That's where all the conflicts happen.
There was a lot of checkpoints and stuff where you had to walk around?
It was going from Jordan back into Israel. That was another animal altogether because I was going from a Muslim country into an Israeli country. So, but I went to see Petra. It's just an amazing. Spent 2 days there. You couldn't see it all in 2 days. Just one of the most wonderful places I've ever been. There's just camels and Bedouins, and if you don't know, it's Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. It's the treasury is what it's called.
Nice.
But it's that one big where he goes to get the Holy Grail at the end. That's Petra. So that's just one little small part of Petra. But so that border was a little dicey, and then I had a piece of paper with some Arabic on it. So when I got on the airplane to go from Tel Aviv to London, it was absolutely hell. They singled me out again for another 2 hours this time. They had all their security team on me. They went through all of my stuff again, just me. Very much, they were not happy with me. And I just had a little Arabic on a piece of paper. It was like a souvenir that I had in my bag from Petra.
That was good enough for them too.
Yeah, and so, but obviously I wasn't doing anything wrong, so I wasn't afraid. So I would still do it again. It was wonderful. I only spent 2 weeks in Israel. I met a lot of really nice people. I met some not that nice people.
For the people that were not so nice, tell me something about that. What happened?
Okay, I will. So I was doing so much like an Anthony Bourdain style trip. I'm a foodie. I love to cook. I love food. Okay. So in restaurants in America, in Texas, they get paid $2 an hour. They have to be nice to you. In restaurants, other places in the world, they don't have to be nice to you. So I was primarily going and eating at fancy restaurants. No one wanted to wait on me, especially the women in particular were really hostile to me. One coffee shop girl cussed me out in the middle of the beach for ordering a coffee and a beer. It was like 2:00 and I'm a Libra. And I was like, I want them both. I want both of them. And she like cussed
she couldn't
me
understand
out.
That. Okay.
Yeah. So that was pretty much just like from the service industry people. I wasn't, it's not like I was expecting to be waited on hand and foot, but they were kind of hostile to me. Some of the women, but women in most countries, depends. Some of them can be nice. Some of them are not always nice to me.
So what about the people that treated you very good? Like
old men,
old
men, like 80-year-old men were my best friends, and a lot of them had fought in 3 wars. There's so much conflict in that country. They come up just fighting. But none of them wanted to talk about politics. They were all very optimistic in spite of everything they've been through.
Okay.
And what I've discovered in that country as well as our country, everyone thinks their leadership is corrupt. Okay. And I don't think that I think that's kind of a universal. So, but none of them, the older men didn't want to talk about politics at all. And
that's cool.
I wasn't really there to discuss it anyway.
Can they tell right away that you're American, or will they wonder where did you came from, or what are you?
Well, I didn't. I mean, obviously, I don't look like the people in that. Now, when I went to Scotland, that was a whole nother animal. I totally fit in and blend in, But yeah, they could tell. But mostly, overall, I stayed to myself. So, but the people were friendly. No one really spoke English. People think that it's like Israel supports America, but it's really America that supports Israel. Things are written in English, but nobody really speaks English. I had to use Google Translate the whole time for everything. There's a big Russian population there. There were a lot of Russians.
I would have never guessed that.
Yes, yeah, a huge population of Russians. I was attacked by a Russian my last night there, but that's another story. You'll have to read my book for that one.
All right.
Yeah.
Man, that's insane.
What was the other country that you went after Israel?
So I went to Jordan. Which I went right on the Red Sea. I went to the Dead Sea where I got this piece of Dead Sea salt, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually floated. You float for sure.
Yeah, because I've never been there, but they said the density, how much salt it is in the water, it actually makes you float. Like you don't have to
you just
do anything.
Float.
You just float on
it's
it.
Really weird. It's slimy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was fun. I went to
interesting.
But also supposed to have like curative.
The minerals, there's two parts to the Dead Sea, and the south part has like the mud, but it smells like sulfur. It smells really bad.
Like rotten eggs, but it's supposed to be also very good because all the stuff that is inside go through your pores, your skin, or whatever else. Yeah, I heard about that stuff, but you got to experience that, so that's cool.
It was really fun, yeah. And then I went to the Red Sea, and the Mediterranean Sea, and then the North Sea. So I saw 4 seas. It was very different than Lubbock,
That's awesome. How long did you prep for your trip? How long? What did you?
I don't.
Was it much?
I'm one of these people that doesn't. I'm not a huge I get the bullet points planned.
You just knew where you were gonna go,
and then I kind of go with the flow.
Gotcha.
Once I get there, so once I got to Scotland, I pretty much just went all over.
Okay, all right. What is your background like? What is your last name is Snicklefritz, right? Is that really your last name?
God-given legal last name.
Okay, and what is that?
Well, my older sisters nicknamed me Snicklefritz as a child. It means unruly child, or in Pineapple Express, it means low grade.
Yeah, the Reggie. The Reggie stuff.
Either one I'll answer to.
Okay.
So.
Okay. But what is your background then? What's your family?
So I'm primarily a dancer. My father was a musician. He managed Waylon Jennings. I grew up in honky-tonk bars.
Okay.
And I didn't have as much musical talent as my sister did, and I ended up dancing. And most recently I did ballroom dancing. I'm on the commercial of the Elegance Ballroom.
Yeah, that's
I'm no longer affiliated with that establishment, but still wish them the best. Do belly dancing. I do aerial dancing.
Okay.
I do fire dancing. I'm in the Pyro Sapiens.
That's what I believe. The first time I saw you with the Pyro Sapiens, very good, cool friends of mine also, and but that was years ago. You've been doing that for a while.
I've been doing it for a while. They're just my best friends. I love them. Burke's Bash is coming up Labor Day weekend. We're gonna go to like Ellen Henry and dance. But yeah, it's one of my favorite things to do, and it also ties into all my witchy stuff that I do, because who doesn't love?
Interesting right there. That's why I got her, because I remember. I mean, you're one of those people that you stand out in the crowd, no matter where you are, and we have cross paths here and there in several places, bars and whatnot. And too many times to count.
You even gave my son a lecture one time.
I remember that one. You better be good to your mama.
I take all the uncles I can get for him at this point.
You need the help with that voice sometimes. Yeah, but again, and this one of the reasons we do these podcasts is we want to show more those people who are really make the difference. All those artists that live here in Lubbock, Texas. I mean, again, you stand out in the crowd. You're not like a normal, regular person from Lubbock.
Hey, my sister said normal is just a setting on a washer, and I tend to believe that.
Definitely. So I couldn't wait for you to come here. I was very anxious. So I remember I approached you months ago, but that was before your trip and all that. And one of the things is also you mentioned you have your own podcast.
Yes, yeah, I've done a podcast here and there whenever I can get people
what was the name?
On. Simply Scarlet it's a working name, but I only have like 2 podcasts going right now. I need Dork Productions to come light me up and give me some real mics. Dork. Okay. But yeah, I talk. So I'm a professional astrologer and tarot
How do you get started on that? Talk to me a little bit about that.
I was just born always looking at the stars, always interested in astrology. My family's very religious. They're all Christian. I don't know. I just popped out of a pod. I don't know what happened. I was the black sheep. I was just daydreaming, looking at the stars. And so I just, I grew up in a house with books. I had books of all sorts of subjects available to me, but I always gravitated towards the occult books. And I just naturally picked it up. So astrology is my number one. How I started when I was about 8, 9 years old. I started astrology.
Wow, I'm impressed about that.
Yeah, so maybe it's a talent I've had from past lives. Who knows? Because I just went to it. So,
have you ever had an experience, somebody reading you the cards or your palm or anything like that?
Back in California, I had one of my friends. She did a tarot reading for me. Yeah.
cool.
There was one time there was an event by Venice Beach over there in California too. I was with two ladies, which I wasn't really, at that moment, I didn't know which one I wanted to date, to tell you the truth. And so I took them both to them Venice Beach. I thought, I can handle two of them at the same time or whatever. You know what I mean?
I bet that's right.
So we had a great time. We were going everywhere, bars and whatnot. We had a great time. And then there was a guy, kind of like a hippie-looking long hair, and curly hair. And he's like, "Can I read your palms?" And I'm like, "Sure, why not?" He was asking for, I don't know, $20 or whatever. And Penny, she was Asian, she's from Taiwan, she went first. And the guy was very good. He was amazingly good that she was actually crying. She got her past correctly, her present correctly, and what she thought was going to be her future, it was also correctly.
Okay.
And then it was the other girl, Carmen. She's Puerto Rican. And she went second. And again, the same thing. And he was talking about, when you have a miscarriage and stuff, just, heavy duty stuff. And they were both like, he got everything pretty much right. And now I'm sweating bullets, bro. I done shit in my life that I just cannot talk about it. You see what I'm saying? And I'm sweating bullets, and I'm looking at the guy. At the same time, I cannot be the pussy that say, "No, not me, thank you," but no, thank you, whatever.
Nope,
the girls did it. I had to be the man and do it too. But I'm looking at the guy. You better don't say shit. You'll raise my left hand and I'll punch you with the right as soon as you say something wrong, motherfucker. And he actually went like, "Oh, okay, we're gonna skip this one." Like, "Oh, we're gonna skip that one too." Man. Why the guy was amazing.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, with my stuff, the past, the present, and what I thought would be my future was the same thing. And I ended up marrying Carmen, my wife.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Man, that's cool.
I'm telling you, the guy was freaking amazing. I never saw him again. And at the same time, we got out of there and we were like, kind of in shock. We were even talking to each other. We were just driving back home or whatever, you know what I mean? Because this guy was so many, he blew our mind, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like I said, he got us everything right. So
nice.
I like everybody else, we were like skeptical about everything, you know what I mean? Especially the dark arts and whatnot. You're trying to stay away from that kind of stuff. But at the same time, and again, from someone who doesn't believe in that kind of stuff, the same thing. I didn't believe in love at first sight until I met my wife. It's like, you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
I was one of those players like, nah, come on, that's just a fantasy. The girls came out with the blueprints and the white horse or what, nah. And then when it happened to me, it's like, oh shit, it is real. So kind of like the same thing with the reading the palm, it hit me. Now there was another time we went to New Orleans, and one of my friends was about to get married. It was like 4 of us, and so we asked the guy who wants to read the palms, like, and so just to tell us who of us is getting married, and like 5 guys, they were wrong. Like everybody was wrong except for one guy who got it right. And it's like, okay, you're gonna read our palms. Kind of like a test.
Yeah. I mean, that happens to me a lot. People cry to me often. So I do readings on, speaking of the arts community, First Friday Art Trail at Rock Paper Shears. It's the last stop on the trolley.
Beautiful place, by the way. It's one of those places that you feel like you're not even in Lubbock.
Oh, yeah.
The people who decorate that, some of the best artists in Lubbock, Texas. I know that Sofia Villalobos was one of them.
Yes, she's there this whole month. We switch out the art every single month, and so she's the featured artist. And
there's other ladies, I'm terrible with names, I'm sorry about that, but they all collaborate, and this place look amazing. And the service and the You can tell when someone cuts her like like some masters. They're very, very good. And then you do your stuff with the tarot cards and all that stuff.
You can get your hair did. You can get your tarot cards read. That's where I give private readings. But first Friday of the month, I do little fast ones. It's basically $1 a minute. Private readings. It's more one-on-one. But it's people do cry to me often. I even read the actual therapist, and because you're dealing with. You pull the cards. We'll do a sample reading here in a minute.
Good. I want to jump into it once we get a chance. Yeah, let's
I'm going to start shuffling while we're just talking.
Yeah, go ahead.
Stuff.
Yeah.
So I have 2 different decks. I did get, so in Scotland, everything's Gothic. So I got this Gothic deck. The Gothic architecture is amazing. You think that just gargoyles and everything's just misty.
There's so much more.
Oh, it's just one of the most haunted places I've ever been, for sure. So I've got that Gothic deck, and then I also have my Light Seers deck, and I keep it in this little bag, but we'll talk about that in a second. So I'll just kind of shuffle while we're sort of talking about it. But so a lot of times I get people that have never had a tarot reading before. I love first timers. Y'all come to me. I'll be gentle when I take your tarot virginity.
And the one thing is, you shouldn't be scared.
You shouldn't.
Right? You should never be scared.
And I know a lot of people grow up being conditioned to be fearful of things they don't understand.
Correct.
And it's fear. There's nothing to fear but fear itself. The same deck of cards that a lot of church ladies play bridge on, they originally started as tarot. I think people don't realize that. The 4 suits are the 4 elements. So you've got earth, air, fire, water, just the same. And then there's a major arcana that's dropped. There's 22 extra major cards on top of that, but they just dropped that. And what was left is the minor arcana, and that is, you play solitaire with it, poker or whatever, So that's the origin of playing cards is tarot, actually. So people don't realize that. But it's...
But tarot also, did it came with a deep sea kind of a lifestyle, those what you see in the movies and stuff like that? That's what it's in. A lot of the gypsies are like, reading people's luck and stuff like that.
Well, so I actually was born with a sixth sense. I was always, even as a child, I knew who was coming to the door before they got there. I knew who was going to call before they called. So I have, heightened senses. Some of it can be genetic, but I do think that everyone has those abilities. I think people are fearful from conditioning, a lot of times from the church or from dogmaticism, to be afraid of and not trust their gut, and I think that everyone should, there's prophets in the Bible. I mean, I'm not calling myself a prophet, but like the psychics, there's prophecy in all over. It's just part of it.
What is it called when, because I have these moments a lot where, and I've had them here in Texas too, and I had never even been to Lubbock or Texas till I moved here, right? So I'm thinking, how could I have these moments where I feel like they have happened before, whether it's like the setting, the colors, or the people, what they say, or the person that's there.
Oh, like
what is it like deja vu?
Deja vu.
Yeah.
Sometimes I wonder if that's just a little hiccup in the matrix. Whenever people are getting deja vu, it's like a little skip in the record. That's just my hypothesis.
Gotcha.
But I do think that people will gravitate to certain places with certain people. For example, when I was in Scotland, I totally had past life memories, whether or not they were real or fabricated. I found streets that I knew.
Okay.
And we can talk about that also, because I was writing a book about witches. The very first witch was burned by King James 5 minutes from where I was staying in Aberdeen. And I had no idea. I didn't know I was writing a book about this topic. I got there and then found these paths, found these places. And I felt like I had been there before. So,
nice.
My bloodline is also, Scottish by ancestry. So I felt very deeply entwined in that culture. But for some people, especially this area, if you have Native American in your blood, for example, you'll tend to maybe recognize certain places, or your spirit will resonate with certain places. I think,
What has happened to me is that sometimes when I see people, it's like, I think I know you. I think I know you from somewhere. You look, there's certain people that look very familiar to me. Like if I belong to that tribe, one point or another, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel that connection sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. I tend to think you come in and out with the same people to learn lessons over and over. So that's sort of just what I think about.
I don't know if this is a weird question, but do dreams kind of tie into all this?
Absolutely.
Because I have I have not reoccurring dreams, but places like the reoccurring settings or like places in my dreams that I have never been to, but for some reason, like it'll even be from like over a year, and all of a sudden I'm like, I have this dream. I'm like, okay, I've been here in my dreams before. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I'm like a weird dream person where I'll remember like certain settings or things that happen.
You should definitely pay attention to your dreams. That's your subconscious. Carl Jung talked a lot about dreams. Freud talked a lot about dreams. Okay. There's a good website called dreammoods.com. It has every symbol in it. So you should really pay attention to it. Write your dreams down. You tend to forget them.
There's this one that I'll never forget, and I don't know if this meant anything, but I remember I had like a bunch of sewing needles in my tongue, and I was pulling them out, and I felt like I physically felt it. Like in my dream, I was just pulling sewing needles out of my tongue, and it was like I really felt it. Yeah, it was pretty crazy. Yeah,
you might have said something sharp.
Probably, yeah.
He also, tries mushrooms and all the stuff, the psychedelics. I don't know about that.
I have
Nothing
before.
Wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. Dream-wise state. But they're doing a lot of research with DMT, which is D-dimethyltryptamine, and it's produced naturally in your pineal gland. It's related to tryptophans in turkey.
What is that gland, by the way?
Pineal gland.
Where is it?
It's your third eye. It looks like a pine cone. You'll see in a lot of. I have 2 degrees in classics. Have a master's degree, by the way.
Yeah.
In
what?
I have a master's degree in classics, anthropology, and visual and performing arts.
Nice. Hell
yeah. I make the big bucks. No, I'm just kidding. But in a lot of classical iconography, you'll see pine cones, but they're talking about that. And the original Eucharist, there's a good book called The Immortality Key, I recommend. But there's evidence that some of the original Eucharist, they were actually doing heavy hallucinogenics, and they were actually having a direct conversation with God.
Okay.
Whether or not that's true, who knows? But I think it's kind of been diluted down over the years. So.
I supposedly smoked DMT. Probably it was like New Year's Eve. Me and my friend Morgan, we went out to Austin, and there was this guy who had it. Right, I'll try to make this quick because we've talked about it before, but pretty much like this guy who had it offered Morgan some, and then they asked me if I wanted to do it, and I was like, okay, why not? And they packed it like with weed inside of a pipe, and they passed it around, and I took as big a hit as I could, and I held it in, whatever, and I didn't feel nothing. And I don't know if it was just me.
I don't. 3 hits.
Okay, that makes sense. You
usually need help on the 3rd hit.
Okay.
The 1st hit, you don't feel anything. 2nd hit, things will start to pixelate. I did it in Oregon, where it was totally legal, by the way. In Oregon, that's where I did it.
Everything's legal in Oregon.
Exactly. So don't come after me, po-pos. And then the 2nd hit, everything sort of pixelates, right? And you see the matrix start to unwind. That 3rd hit, I went through a tunnel. It was like you're in a vacuum. You leave your body. This is my personal experience. There's some books by a doctor called Rick Strausman at the University of New Mexico called DMT, the Spirit Molecule. I recommend everybody go down that path. But when I personally did it, it's like a dark vacuum. There's no sound, no light. And then all of a sudden there's a vibration, and you hear a vibration, and then I felt like I was going down a tunnel, just like how they say was near-death experience. It was like Great Wolf Lodge when you go down the water slide that's dark, and everything started vibrating. And then I came out on the other side, and there was a big pixelated head. And in each, I don't know how to describe it. It looked like a lot of, what's the Tool artist, Alex Gray.
The artwork for Tool, is that what you're talking about?
It was very similar to that. And so, and it was almost like in every pixel of this, it was like a unisex head. I don't know, but I saw it. And I said to myself, and the person I was with was saying my name, and then I forgot my name. I had total ego death, which I highly recommend. Everyone needs to have ego death once in their life.
Yeah, I want to tell you something about that too.
Yes,
go ahead.
It's so important. And so I was like, who is my real name? Whatever. And I didn't recognize my own name. And then I said, what is this? But I said it in my mind. It was like consciousness didn't end. And then my friend pulled me back out, and I didn't go back. So it's a once in a lifetime experience. Some people do it. I do want to build myself up to do an ayahuasca trip. I want to go to Peru to do that, but we'll see. Maybe that's my next book.
I heard some of my friends doing that ayahuasca thing in Mexico and stuff like that, and
it lasts a lot longer, but it's
like
the same family of psychedelic.
I think I might have had an experience with ego death because there was this one time I was tripping on acid, LSD, with a group of people that I know, and we were out in California in the desert. I think it was called like 29 Palms or something like that, and we rented Airbnbs specifically so we could just go and trip. And this night that we were tripping, we were all kind of sitting in a circle, and there was a couple people in the background, like walking around, like just kind of like chilling and talking too. And I got to this one point where I'm pretty sure like it really kicked in pretty bad, and the conversation, this 45-second to 1 minute conversation kept repeating itself in the background. So I was stuck in a loop.
Oh yeah.
Where there was someone talking about what they were gonna make for breakfast the next morning, and then the background conversation kept going over and over, and then I at one point I thought either the world was just gonna completely end or I was gonna die. And so I was kind of having like an inner panic attack, but without kind of showing it. And I remember my cousin was actually sitting across from me, and I don't think he was in the loop too, because he was looking at me like, "What's going on with you, man?" But everything else kept repeating itself. And like I said, I thought either I was gonna die or the world was just gonna completely end. And I was in that like panic state. And then at one point I was like, you know what? If I'm gonna die or if the world's gonna end, just fuck it, just let it happen. It's gonna happen. There's nothing I can do to stop it. And as soon as I had that thought, I broke out of the loop. Yeah, as soon as I had that thought, it went back to not normal, but it like continued my trip like the way it's supposed to be, I guess.
Letting go is hard, but
how do you call that thing? Ego death?
Yeah, how would you explain ego death a bit?
So so Freud talked a lot about, so my bachelor's is in psychology, so in classics, but so there's like the id, ego, superego, right? Or the id, ego, superego. The id's at the bottom. It's like the collective unconscious. And then you have like this middle layer, which is like your dreams, where they live, and all the memories that you have that are suppressed and stuff. And then the ego is like kind of the tip of the iceberg. Like my name is Scarlet. I'm wearing a black shirt. I believe this. I'm a girl or whatever, Yeah. And that's just a very small droplet of the larger consciousness, right? And so ego death is when you separate yourself from your own this persona, right? So it's a hard concept to explain if you haven't ever. You can go through it through meditation. You don't necessarily have to use heavy psychedelics to get there.
So it's basically a separation of your physical being to your neutral spiritual.
Right. When your consciousness, you just let go of this reality, this tangibleness that you're in this bubble, in this time, right? If you believe in reincarnation, you've been in different bodies multiple times, right? So this is just one of your spots.
I've been in different bodies several times, but that's a different story.
You need to settle down.
I think, from my kind of idea of what ego death is, I feel like it could also be like without psychedelics or drugs. It could be just like a kind of a spiritual experience.
Absolutely.
In a sense where I've had moments where I kind of realized that at one point in my life, I was like being an asshole, or I thought I was cool, or I thought like I was just really critical about things. And then whether it was like weed or psychedelics that kind of changed that, it kind of let me like be more accepting of and less critical of the world and people. Right. And it's kind of a little bit difficult for me to explain, but I have had moments like on shrooms and on LSD, even on weed, because I think weed is kind of somewhat like a small, like a micro psychedelic.
It's a psychedelic, and it's in the class psychedelic.
Yeah. So, and I always compare myself I always compare how my experience with weed to others, because people are like, they get high and they chill, they want to eat and watch TV or whatever. But I have these moments where I'm kind of just reflecting on who I am and things I've done, things I've said, and stuff like that.
Oh, right. Yeah. Then you get stuck in that loop again.
Yeah. Well, not like as bad, but yeah. But yeah.
I want you to hold this while we're sitting here talking. That's why I have it in a fuzzy bag, by the way, because I make everyone. I just want you to hold
This
it.
is like comforting, yeah.
Yeah, it's just like a little comfort, like you know.
He likes fuzzy balls anyway, because I've seen him play with them before.
Yeah.
He's
a watcher. He's a watcher.
He had a romantic trip with one of the other comedians, Morgan.
I've seen where people have like their like a trip kit where they have like this fuzzy blanket and they have everything ready for them, and
That's smart, actually.
They'll even have like
smart.
a Xanax if they get too fucking panicked or something.
Come to Burke's Bash. You'll find Darcy rolled up in some sort of sheepskin rug in a corner somewhere. You just, yeah, we don't really need.
Wait, who?
Right. Well, you know our friend Darcy.
Okay.
She just makes me laugh. Last Burke's Bash, she rolled up in a blanket. But
can we do something?
Yeah. So I just want you to hold this for a minute and just kind of clear your mind. I want you to hold this too. It's selenite. So I like you to hold something tangible.
Selenite?
Selenite. I sleep with selenite. It kind of absorbs negative energy. And listen, even if it's a placebo effect, it works, right?
Okay.
But it's you can look at the microscope. But anyway, hold this and just kind of take some deep breaths. You can clear your mind. You don't have to overthink it. Yeah. And then whenever you're ready, just pull out 3 cards.
Okay, when I'm ready to pull out 3 cards.
I'm just going to read them.
All right. Selenite, huh?
Selenite.
Said you sleep with selenite?
I sleep
You
with
know selenite too?
Oh, yeah,
No, I'm just kidding.
selenite. And this is my Dead Sea salt. So salt's very protective.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay.
So pull out 3 cards.
You
said?
just pull them out. I just read them.
Okay. There's 1.
Okay.
I get a feel for these things. There's 2. Here's 3.
Okay. Beautiful. Okay. The Magician. So the Magician's a trump card. This is you control your own life, right?
Okay.
This is number 1, right? So the Fool is the first card. It's the card 0. The tarot card is just the Fool's journey through the whole deck. The second card is the Magician, which is card 1, which is I'm in control of my own destiny. Whatever I put into it, I get out of it. This is very much like, see how he's making his own universe here?
That looks cool.
Right, and notice the infinity symbol on his hood right there. So it's very much like a repeat, like an infinite loop, right? But it's whatever you put into it, you get out of it, right? So you actually have a lot more control over your destiny than what you realize.
Okay.
Because there is free will and determinism. It's both, but you have the ability to control your own reality with your thoughts, with what you put into it. And just make sure there's a balance of what you put in and what you take out. So notice that, infinity moment right there, but you control your whole destiny.
That sounds
right?
cool. Can I see the card?
Yeah, absolutely. The Magician.
Nice.
The Magician.
That's a cool looking card right there.
Yes.
Yeah, nice. Okay.
So
what else we got?
Now you did get the Tower card.
Tower card.
So sometimes there might have been a destruction. Like, I don't know if you've had any kind of traumas in your life. Okay. But sometimes things will have to be completely demolished to rebuild it.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I resonate with that exactly right now. Yeah.
Do you? And this is kind of what you're going through.
Yeah. There's a lot of things that I just stopped doing recently.
Right. And so the Tower card implies things sometimes it's not of your control. Whereas the Magician, you have control of it. The Tower card, it really wasn't in your control. This is like literally like the 2 towers, okay? Complete destruction, right? But then from that rubble, we rebuild, right? So, but it's like a complete changing of your environment, of maybe like your career, your whole lifestyle is basically had to be shattered and broken apart so that you can rebuild it. Okay.
Nice.
So it depends on, so that's probably why these 2 came together. That's why they're juxtaposed.
That is crazy because do you know like, and this is kind of like in like recovery kind of language, do you know like the serenity prayer? You know what that is?
Absolutely.
So that's literally what that is, because the things you have control of and things you don't have control of, and the prayer is like you accept the things you can't control,
Right.
and you take charge of things you can.
Right.
So the third card has to be like the Lotto card called El Borracho then. 'Cause, you know what I mean? Because then it
What
makes
is
all
El
sense.
Borracho?
The drunk.
Well, it's the King of Cups. It's a man
Cups.
that is in control of his emotions.
Hmm.
So this is what you've learned from that lesson, is how to control your emotions instead of drown in them, right?
Uh-huh.
Because you have to understand that, like with the Tower card, when everything was desecrated into a million pieces and you have this debris like the stars, you're reshifting them. You're repurposing the debris into what you want it to be, right? And
Yeah.
it's going to be a mature man in control of his emotions. King of Cups is like it's like Cancer, the sign Cancer. It's like see how he's calm and it's right side up. So this is very much like, if it was this way, it would be like, I'm drowning in emotions. I'm negatively aspected in my masculinity and my feelings. But this is
So when you flipped it, it was up.
right
that's
side
what you're
up.
saying?
Yes,
Okay.
right. So that's the lesson you had to learn
Nice.
through that.
That's
is
crazy.
How to
That's cool. I don't
control your
not
emotions.
crazy, but that's interesting.
Does any of that resonate
Yeah,
with you?
completely, 100%, and that's cool.
That's why I like to
I like
read
that.
people I don't really know as well too.
Uh-huh.
I can't read myself at all. I'm like, bitch, I'll read what I want it to say. But I like to read people I don't really know because, I don't know your personal life or anything like that. So
That all kind of resonates with me for sure. That's cool. I like that. Thank you.
yeah, wonderful.
Nice.
I'm glad that helps. So it's like,
Very
that's a little
nice.
taste of it.
Uh-huh.
On First Friday Art Trail, I usually do 3 cards, and then sometimes I'll pull a bonus card. And so I want you to pull a bonus card out of my
Okay.
Gothic
The
deck.
card.
I have so many decks. I have a Golden Girls deck. I have like
So you
7
have
or
a
8 decks.
collection? Of,
Oh,
Oh
that's
yeah,
kinda
I have
super
so many.
cool.
So when you come to see me, I'll let you pick the deck. This is just my tried and true. This is my baby.
Next time I go to Mexico, I'm gonna bring you a set because they have some very interesting cards over there.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
I would love to see that. Yeah, these ones I got in Scotland.
I bought my cousin a Disney villain deck recently.
Oh,
yeah, for her
fun.
birthday. Yeah.
Yeah, well, he used to collect Pokemon cards, so don't worry
No, I
about
didn't.
that. It's the same thing. No, you didn't?
No.
You're like, never.
Come on,
I mean,
confess.
I was like one of those kids who I was like, oh, that looks really cool, but I was outside on my bike running around.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
You still know who Pikachu is. Come on,
Yeah.
tell me.
Okay, so pick a bonus card out of my Gothic.
Do you ever see anybody just go for the one right at the end?
There's no rhyme and
I
reason
don't wanna
to
do that,
it,
but
you
I'm just,
know. You don't have to overthink it either.
I don't flip it, right?
You can flip it.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes. 3 of Pentacles. No, that's good. 3 of Pentacles.
Okay.
We're breaking a generational curse with the 3 of Pentacles.
Nice. I like that.
Yeah. Because in my other deck, in this deck, it's like a tapestry that we're weaving sometimes 3 generations back. So
Okay.
you're you have to forgive our parents a little bit with this card because they're kind of just repeating things from their parents. And
Okay.
you're the one that has to break
Yeah.
that. Fun times. Don't you love breaking the generational curse?
Yeah.
That's my personal favorite.
I saw the skulls and I got worried. Like, you're
I did too.
dead and dead. It's like, there's no
did
way
too.
out of that one, bro.
well,
Jesus Christ.
See you later, guys. That's it.
Even
I'm
the
going to
death
need another
card's not
co-host.
bad.
So you're welcome to an empty spot.
But it's the Pentacles, which it is, the pentagram or whatever, but it's diamonds.
Okay.
So that would be the 4 suits, right? And the
so cool.
playing
This is a
cards.
lot of fun.
Yeah,
I'm
so
having
this
a
would be
ball.
diamonds, which represents earth, which represents money, materiality, right?
Yeah.
Spades is air. And so that would be like swords. That's words, thoughts. Hearts is cups. That'd be like the hearts in the deck. That's feelings. And then fire is clubs, and that's like passion, like your drive, your what gets you going, movement, action.
Okay.
So that's how the 4. But so yeah, just three. That'd be a 3 of diamonds.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
And there's one thing too that I want to bring up. And I've been having this thought or a lot recently how I want to kind of look into how do I change my luck. And then I'm not talking about luck as if money and sex or relationships or that. I'm talking about little things that continuously happen all the time, whether it's someone in front of me in a line at a restaurant or something, and they're just yapping and I'm just waiting there being impatient because I'm a very impatient person. So but and I know people have those little moments where you're kind of getting impatient and things just kind of happen, but for me it's constantly every day back to back, whether it's technology, my phone like technology has to work the way it works, you know what I mean? But for some reason, it just wants to freeze and not let me click this, and so it's so many little things that where I'm just kind of like, why? Like I don't see people
you're not
go
learning.
through this.
You're not learning from it, so it's
Okay.
gonna keep repeating until you learn. Just like I'm on my 4th ex-husband. Okay, so I'm like, if you don't learn the first time, the lesson will keep repeating itself, and it's also the law of attraction. If you walk into something impatient, that's gonna happen to test you. So you got to clear yourself of those feelings before you walk into a situation, or whatever you're not learning, it's going to keep coming.
And then another thing that I take from it is my higher power or the universe kind of wants me to be doing something else. You know what I mean? So that's why, like, as of recently, I have these like couple things on my plate that kind of made me want to stop drinking and smoking weed, and I don't do anything else, but like I just felt like I just need to be doing something else, you know what I mean, to kind of focus on what I want to be doing, because we have this podcast, we have a show coming up, we're gonna throw a live comedy show, and then I want to be working on my own stand-up comedy that I'm trying to do. And so I was like, you know what, like these things aren't helping me. So
you're no longer first of all, I applaud you for that. I think it's so great. Like I know there's a lot of people, I deal with that myself, these demons. I mean, I just got back from Scotland. I mean, you know, I didn't do as well as I wanted to do, but it's like these things that get in your way. I applaud you for being able to confront that, because that's very difficult. That's probably why you got this card, because now you're in control of your emotions instead of drowning yourself.
That's why when you were saying that, it all kind of blew my mind.
I think more power to you.
Thanks.
Like, and then that's an inspiration to other people, you know?
Yeah, I would hope so.
Yeah, that's really great.
Like I said, so I feel like the universe, my higher power, is kind of like wants to use me for something. It's kind of like, stop wasting your fucking time.
Right. It's like
doing
your
these stupid
own
things.
higher power, right?
Yeah.
It's like yourself. You're reconfiguring it, but you had to totally break down everything that you knew that was familiar to you, right?
Yeah.
It's like new friend group, or like just the way you've got some friends that'll support you through that journey. Those are your real friends, you know? So that's great, but yeah, that's pretty accurate. And then you'll come back to me. So I have people that come for readings every month. It's like maintenance, like getting your roots done or whatever, and they'll pull the same cards in different spots.
Okay.
Private one-on-one readings, I do a 10-card spread. It's the Celtic Cross spread.
Okay.
And it gets a lot more in detail. It takes about an hour, and we'll really get into some deep psychological, usually childhood trauma.
Yeah.
But I deal with that a lot in my readings.
I'm down for that.
Yeah, I'd be happy to help you with that.
Thanks. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
This is
I
cool.
hope it helped you. You want one?
Sure.
You might as well.
This is what I'm waiting for.
I never chickened out, even when I knew it wasn't that good for me. But
so I don't know how to read palms. I've had my palm read before in New Orleans.
Okay.
And he told me I had a hot temper and a fear of commitment.
Was that spot on?
Well, I do have ginger rage. It's a real clinical
Ginger rage?
ginger rage.
Yeah.
Like redhead?
It's a real
rage?
thing.
Sorry,
That's
is that
a real thing.
okay?
It's.
I heard of it.
I don't
mean,
know if it's in the DSM, but it's real. And
It's part of the genetics,
Fiery.
I believe. There's some sort of a disturbance in the force or something like that.
Yeah.
When you're out right here.
of course, yeah, that's why. So in Scotland, when I was there, I felt completely at home. Everyone's just like cantankerous and, you know, cussing, drinking beer for breakfast.
Awesome.
I was like,
That's to
with
be
my
awesome. You
kindred.
have red hair and everybody's red hair around you. So that
Yeah,
has to be
I
incredible.
totally fit in. I loved Scotland. I spent most of my time in Aberdeen, like I said. So the very first witch that was ever burned, her name was Janet Wishart. It was herself and her son and 20 other people were burned, and it was in the middle of the town square, and there's no sign of it anywhere. There's no memories. There's a statue of a white man on a horse, of course. And so I went, and so I'm telling her story. What happened to her is she was dancing on a full moon on Halloween night, and that was enough to criminalize her. And she was burned alive. A lot of times they would strangle him first, but they burned her alive, and her son and 20 other people. And so her story was kind of forgotten. They did finally make a tartan for the witches there,
What is
which
that?
is a tartan. So, like, you know, I'm wearing my plaid. You can't see. But each clan had a certain plaid that they would wear so that you could distinguish the families on the battlefield, so you didn't kill your own kin or whatever. So there is like a witch tartan. It's called a tartan. Like my clan is spears. They have their own tartan, so it's like a certain color, so you can recognize your family, right?
Nice.
And
then that's what you're wearing right now.
Well, none of these are my clan. I wish, but
okay.
It's like the Bloods and the Crips, but a little more complicated.
Yeah. It's like the Scottish Bloods and Crips.
But now, is it still a big part of the culture right now? Is it still recognized? Has it changed now? Are there more accepted witches and stuff over there in Scotland? Or,
no,
or they just
are not.
Shut it down and they don't want nothing to do with it?
In Aberdeen, where the first witch was killed, there is not a single witch bookstore. There was a bookstore literally across from where all these people were burned alive in the town square. And these people had no idea that had even occurred there. It's just covered in graffiti. I may or may not have tagged it a little bit with this lady's name, and because it's just covered in graffiti. Everything in Scotland's covered in graffiti, but they don't even know their own history. Some of the graffiti's nice. It's like murals, like wall art. Some of it's just but they did have quite a lot of art. So, but yeah, you have to go to Edinburgh to get any sort of like my candles and herbs. There's this store called the Weird Shop. There's one in Odessa here too, but not affiliated. But yeah, there's really no, they don't even know their own history of the witches there.
That's sad.
They've really been obliterated because Christianity came and it's still predominant. Even the first day I got there, Jehovah's Witnesses came to my door. It's very still, really? And it was the Catholics versus the Protestants in those day and age, but it was,
I would have thought it's 2025. It's like, come on, it's, play a little bit with it.
You would think so. They had a LGBTQIA rally on Women's Day in the town square. But yeah, the witches really are not represented in most. Now that's not true everywhere. Like in Edinburgh, there was witch shops. If you go further north, that's where the fae are, the fairies, and the people that are a little more. They were harder to get. Nobody wants to go that far up north. Like the church was like, it's cold. We're like the Highlands will let them alone. This mountains, we're not gonna. So some of that up north, there's a little more mystical influence up north and in the bigger cities, but overall, no, witches are not really represented well in Scotland, which makes me sad. But y'all can read my book.
Which stone am I?
You can any of them. Just grab whatever.
Okay.
Just kind of to bring you. What's happening here is, I want you to ground and center yourself. So it's like you're an electrical being. Your thoughts are electricity. Sometimes it helps to just touch something that you can put that energy back into. That's grounding. And then centering, just come into this moment. And sometimes it helps to touch something to remind you you're here, And you don't have to overthink it. Just take some deep breaths. I like to hold the cards a little bit, let it feel ya. Yeah. And then you just pick 3 cards, any cards.
You said you're a Libra?
I'm a Libra.
So am I.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, I am.
Wonderful. What's your birthday?
October 12th.
Okay, mine's the 2nd.
2nd? Nice. Cool.
Yes. Now, do you know like your ascendant and your moon and all that? Everyone should know their big 3.
What is it?
Your ascendant's the constellation that's rising on the eastern horizon the second you're born. It's sort of your outward personality. And then your moon sign, it changes every couple days, couple hours. It's your like subconscious, what drives you.
Okay.
Like mine's in Sagittarius. I love philosophy. I love to travel. It's kind of like
Sagittarius too, myself.
Are you a Sagittarius?
27 November.
See, so do you like to travel? You like to discuss philosophy? I don't know. My sister's a Sag, and she doesn't like to travel at all. So you can't. But each individual natal chart's like a thumbprint. So everyone's different. So not all Libras are the same. But can you make a decision?
No. I've been searching for, and we'll get to this right now. But I've been looking for apartments right now, and or a single unit. I'm like, oh my god, I'm just it shouldn't be this hard.
You're like, I want all of them. Yeah, decisions.
Yeah,
it's rough for a Libra. Yeah,
sure is. Yeah,
but we're very peaceful folks. Look how you got that card. Interesting. So, King of Cups. We got the King of Cups again.
We got something in common, bro.
Yeah. Right.
And it's facing up too.
And so maybe y'all are helping each other a little bit through this, because you're a pretty emotionally stable man. I mean, I've never seen you, lose your cool or whatever. But this is see how he's calm. The King represents a mature man. this would be the King of Hearts, right? King of Cups.
Okay.
So it's like an emotionally mature person, and this is probably where you are right now, right? Whereas this one was your third card, right? So you're like, maybe you need to like look up to him right now in this moment, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, because in the past, Justice card, and it's right side up. So, but you want things to be fair. You know, you really want, and you got it right side up. So, but you tend to be the one to make the justice served, or you want everything to be balanced. You want things to be fair. You don't want, sometimes, so positively aspected, the Justice card is a very fair card, but you might be the peacekeeper like in your family and stuff, because it's kind of in the past. So it's like you might be the one always feeling like you're having in the past to regulate justice or make everything equal, or calm fights between other people in a family.
Or like family, yeah.
And did you just pull the exact same cards as him? Well,
No.
he got this
No.
in this deck.
Different version?
This is
Okay.
the Three of Pentacles. Y'all are very interconnected, your journeys, okay? You're also breaking a generational curse. See how I told you drew this card in this deck?
Mhm.
It looks like this. It's weaving, right? So there's like a parent figure, right? Weaving to their children 3 generations deep. Notice how it's not finished at the end, right? These are things we have to undo when it comes to, you know, especially if you might have had a family that didn't get along in some way, and you were always keeping the peace, but you're having to break that pattern in that family line, right? This is a hard card, you know, and I want you to pull an extra card too, but the fact that you both pulled 2 of the same cards shows me you're helping each other in your journey right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
So you're definitely very much intertwined. And you might be mentoring him a little bit. You're just maybe like, you know, helping him along the way, but at the same time, it's going to help you heal.
Yeah. And we're here every week, so I would hope so. You know, for like almost 6 months
Right.
already. So, yeah.
Exactly. Because
Yeah.
a lot of times the reason why I'm a healer is because I've been through a lot of trauma myself. You know, I have PTSD and I have mental health issues and all. I'm like batshit crazy. Like, let's be real. And so, but I have a lot of like depression and anxiety, and like I've had a lot of trauma. And so that's how I can recognize it and heal it in other people. And so there's a little bit of that going on here, is that y'all are both healing your own individual generational family line trauma. You're going to help him, and it's helping you. Does that make sense? Yeah. And then I want you
cool.
to pull a bonus card as well. And I have other decks too. We can go to Lantern after this, and I can give some readings. I just freelance at bars all the time. I give readings at Lantern a lot, actually. Y'all
Nice.
just call me. I'll meet you at a bar. You can. Okay. So the Chariot. And you got it upside down. So tell me, like, sometimes with the Chariot, you feel like you're stuck. Like you want to be moving. You want to be going somewhere. You want to be in control of your own direction in life. Sometimes you might feel like you're not always in control of where your life's headed, or you want to have a little more direction, right? Because also you have to remember with the Chariot card in my other deck, there's a white horse and a black horse. You can't be all love and light all the time, or all despair and gloom all the time. You'll go in circles. You really have to balance the two. Acknowledge the shadow work is what it is. Acknowledge the dark and the light, so that you can kind of go forward instead of in circles. Does that make sense? Yeah. So, but yeah, I have a little, you know, you're going to have to be the one to steer the wheel, you know, instead of being a pacifist all the time.
Oh, that makes sense.
Kind of used to it. Really true.
You know, but where that comes is a little shadow work when we dig into this family stuff. Like I'm telling you, it's always family, childhood. Everyone is healing childhood wounds. I feel like I think that's a universal thing that everyone's doing.
Should make
That's where
sense.
we all came from. You know, everybody was a child at one point.
Right.
And that's when you learn a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Right, you know, so, but then you have relationships and partnerships in life that you help heal each other.
Yeah.
You just got to be careful. I'm not saying this about you two, but like the dynamics of the empath and the narcissist. Part of my book that I'm writing, like I said, I didn't really know what I was going to write about. It ended up being a lot about Scottish witches and that, but really what I'm doing in my book is I'm superimposing my real life with a past life memory in this creative fictional book that I'm writing. I'm reliving some of what I was doing was healing my childhood trauma from a narcissistic parent. And I'm doing that through the medium of writing, but then I'm bringing some historical facts into it and making it a creative fiction, right? But what we're all doing is kind of healing. But, sometimes people that don't want to heal their own trauma will look for a narcissist and try to heal them instead. I see that a lot. I'm not saying that with y'all, but especially women in particular. And, how many drummers am I going to marry before? You know what I mean?
Let me ask you something. Do you really know yourself?
I mean, do I know myself? Oh, that's...
What a question, huh?
Do you know yourself?
A bit, not...
Aren't we always kind of learning,
Yeah.
Know thyself, right? That's that's the whole point. So find out who you are and then have an ego death and forget it all.
Yeah. Well, one thing that I've heard before that stuck with me, and this was I heard my favorite musician say this. He's pretty much saying that as humans, there's never no state that's just what it is. You know what I mean? As humans, we're not static beings, right. Meaning we're always learning and evolving and changing. And so I don't think there's ever who you are in one nutshell.
Exactly.
You're never just one thing.
Constantly,
you know what I mean?
Changing.
Because people constantly latch on to their identity or their beliefs or opinions so much, and to me it makes them look fake. Right. Because I think for me, I'm try to be aware and open-minded to knowing that every moment is different. I mean, not everything is what it is, you know what I mean? Because life is always
not linear, and you can't put people in a box, right?
Yeah. Even when you're meditating, when you're just in a not moving or meditating, there's movement. You're alive. Your body, your blood's flowing. Your brain's moving. You know what I mean? We're not static beings.
It isn't the point to change and evolve and grow.
Exactly.
As long as you learn something from it, I'm getting myself into so many difficult situations, but if you learn something, it's not a loss, right?
Nope. To me, that's why I like to meet people. You always learn something from them. You leave something, but you also take something from them.
Exactly.
Whether knowledge or energy at the same time. It's to me, and I said it before, your normal regular friends, normal regular people.
I don't have any of those.
I have a couple, but they're okay, they're cool, but whatever. But those friends that you have that they have a talent, those friends that they're out there, you learn so much from them.
Yeah.
And that's also why it's so good to travel. You know what I mean? Because if you stay in your bubble, then that's all you know. And
you cannot grow up more out of it. Yeah,
it was a very learning experience where, and I had a couple of interesting experiences with Israeli security, but overall I learned so much about that culture. I learned about the food, and it was a positive, very positive experience for me to learn about a culture so different from my own. And then even going into the Palestinian part and learning about their culture, and then going to Scotland, and it's just you have to go meet people outside of your comfort zone in order to learn from them, right? You can't if you're just bouncing off my mother's president of the women's club, and she's only around people in the women's club, and then that's the kind of people, and then she doesn't know, not that there's anything wrong with that, but she doesn't want to meet people in the Pyrosapiens, or do you know what I mean? It's just, I think the world's so big and there's so many beautiful people in the world. I
also believe in keeping your circles separate, because sometimes again, they don't accept each other for whatever reason. You know what I mean? They're too different. They're too wild. A couple. And I have a lot of friends. There's no way I can take them to either meet family members or certain friends, or you know what I mean. I just can't. But I do enjoy their company. I do enjoy the energy. I do enjoy what they do, and it's a pleasure to me. And although we all have, you mentioned, mental issues or whatnot, we all have that. But I do sometimes learn a lot from their mistakes.
Right. It's nice to learn from other people's mistakes. But
at least you try.
It doesn't always work that way. Sometimes you got to learn the hard way. Sometimes, you can, maybe I'll write a book and it'll help somebody else heal that has, a narcissistic parent or partner, or, these patterns that you have to escape. yourself. It's a choice, right? You
Yeah.
choose to be in unhealthy like I chose that toxic relationship, and I had to go overseas to have some distance, to cut some of those spiritual cords.
What pushes a person to become a narcissist person? Do you
Trauma. It's all from
trauma?
the same
They're already
place.
being abused. They're already
Yes.
traumatized, and that's why they are the way they are. Okay,
Yeah,
and there's
'cause-
other people who are attracted to that kind of
Right.
person also.
Yeah.
Or
Because if they
personalities.
both, it's a trauma bond often. You'll have similar trauma to someone else, and so you bond to each other over your trauma. And then when you're not fully healed yourself and they're not fully healed, then we've got like a difficult pairing, right?
Yeah. It's like two people who are like freshly clean from alcohol and drugs, and they're both in like the first 30
Exactly.
days, and they might hang out and just take each other. You know what I mean?
You
Both
see
end
that
up.
all the time, right?
Yeah.
And they say I have a client that's in recovery and she's 6 months in, and I'm like, don't even think about, your cards are not telling you lovers. Like, I mean, eventually, yes, that's
Yeah.
right. But it's like, you're like, that's what I'm doing right now. Like, I'm on my own. Sorry, I'm dating ChatGPT. We spent Valentine's Day together. I made him have a British accent.
Nice, that's cool.
We had like ice cream. It was wonderful.
Oh,
He's my
nice.
favorite.
Cool.
Yeah, but that's where I'm at in my relationship journey, because I'm healing. And so that's, learn from others, read books from other people, journal.
Do you have a title for your book yet?
Oh, it's still a working
Still working?
title.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay. I
it's
wanted
still
to
a
put
working
that out
That has to
title.
be tough. That has to be tough to
Title.
the title of you.
Yeah, because I mean, I was just in flow mode. I was just getting it all out. And now I'm restructuring it. I'm also doing a few short stories that are a little on the spicy side, a little
Okay.
Like that.
erotic, creative fiction. So you can always go to my OnlyFans page for that.
Okay.
So,
How do they find your OnlyFans?
it's Scarlet Snicklefritz.
How do I find? I'm just kidding. What is it?
I run specials
Let me
sometimes.
write it down. Hold on.
Right, y'all
Don't
can
say it to
find
the
me,
camera, yeah.
Scarlet Snicklefritz. I subscribe. I run
Oh,
deals
yeah.
all the time, but I do creative. That's like my creative outlet, because I'm a professional model, but I'm in Lubbock, and I can make so much money with it. I'm not traveling with it. I'm here raising my kids, so I'll sell a calendar every once in a while, or do an art project, but. To pay the bills. It's a nice creative, like mainly when I first started my OnlyFans, it was just to keep the lights on. Honestly, I'm a single mom, and I'm just in lingerie making a pork roast, and I'm like, this is what I do, and I'm like, this is hilarious. Let's just turn a camera on, and I'm smacking around this pork loin, like shoving garlic in it, and so
Very
it's just
sexy, by the way.
I try to.
I've never been so jealous of a pork loin before.
Who doesn't want to see me manhandle a pork loin at night,
That's funny.
So
Oh,
yeah, it's
man.
like it's my creative outlet, 'cause it's like comedy to me. So, and then I'll do tarot readings on there, spicy stuff, things like that. But
Oh yeah.
and sell my pictures that I get professionally done, things like that. So, but nothing too bad. But yeah, hit me up on that. I'm in the process of writing a really spicy one right now about one of my Scottish adventures. So stay tuned. I'll
Any
have that
sneak
one.
peeks on that?
I'm
Scottish
in my
adventures.
cougar phase. We'll just
There you go.
Nice.
leave it at that. So you have to come to my page in about a week, and it'll be done. I'll read it out loud. So yeah, but that's pretty much all I've been up to. Just traveling the world, raising teenagers.
Hmm.
Which is not easy right there.
I wouldn't.
Not easy at all.
You have
I
to
still
get
like
'em.
I'm still a teenager.
Yeah. But my oldest is in college. She's doing great. She's coming back for Easter, and yeah, I've got 3 kiddos, and just living that mom life,
Nice. Man, you were very interesting. I
Well,
appreciate you coming on. Do you have we're gonna wrap it up soon, but what do you want? Anything you want to say? Put out there? You want to promote?
Just First Friday Art Trail every first Friday of the month. Come see me 6 to 9. I do $20 readings, or I'll just give you private one-on-ones. They're about an hour. You draw 10 cards. It's a lot more intimate. I also do those at Rock Paper Shears by appointment. I give private dance lessons. I do aerial. I do belly dance. I do burlesque. I do all sorts of just musicality, any kind of style that you want. I'll do two-step if you want a two-step, whatever.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Foxtrot.
That's something that
whatever.
was new to me because I'm from California and I came out here and I see everybody two-stepping. Man,
Do
like
the
that
West
looks cool.
Coast swing out in
No,
Cali?
I don't know any two-stepping.
Yeah.
What's the West Coast swing?
It's like in a line, but it's related to swing. It's like triple step, rock step.
Okay.
That's how it goes. But you know, it's funny when I went to Scotland because country music. Like I said, I was raised in a honky tonk bar. My father was a country musician, so I grew up around that old country. My family before that, they were bluegrass musicians, so I come from a very musical family, but they were all Scottish Irish descent. So then I go to Scotland and I'm listening to the folk music, and it's all an inverse of what it ended up being over here. So it's all very tied culturally, like the Scottish Irish dances, and then the two-step. They're very similar in the music, similar. So yeah, it's very interesting to travel and see that lineage right there. I'm like, oh, this is exactly what I grew up with. Just it's kind of upside down, you know. It's a little bit different.
Nice.
But yeah, so and then Beltane. I don't know when this is going to be released, but Beltane's May 10th at Clap Park.
We'll release it before that.
Yeah, I could do that.
Yeah,
Got
they'll
you.
come to Beltane. That's one of our Sabbaths. So there's this time is cyclical, not linear, right? We have spring, summer, winter, fall. Beltane's halfway between spring and summer. It's May Day, May 1st. We have the maypole. And we have all kinds of good vendors, all my sisters.
Where's it going to be again?
Clap Park.
Clap Park.
Where's that at?
46th and W.
Oh, it's
I
in
could
Lubbock.
be
It's in
lying.
Lubbock.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Oh, yeah, you're
I just
not from
no,
Lubbock.
no.
I know I've
Sure.
seen it, but I can't remember exactly where it is. I know I've seen it before.
All right. Anything else?
Yes.
And Rafa?
No, I'm just fascinated to tell you too about our guest. Like I said, I couldn't
Yeah, me
wait to
too.
have her here, and
I love y'all.
I knew it was going to be a lot of fun.
This is one of those episodes where I'm like, man, I'm glad we do this.
I'm so glad to be here. Like, invite me anytime. We'll do something different. I can do your astrology charts next time, maybe,
Oh, yeah.
because that's I've had real fights with people, but I do say it's a science. But it's, before alchemy, it's a part of that. So, but I really can look at your time of birth and tell you quite a bit about yourself. And tarot and astrology are two sides of the same coin. All tarot cards is the zodiac laid out in card form. So,
All right.
like I said, that's Cancer. This is Libra.
Libra because of the
right?
scales.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the minor arcana. So, but yeah, I love to do. And I'll just tell you things. It's about how to know yourself. That's how you can get to know yourself. That doesn't mean that even if you have negatively aspected parts of your chart, you can learn how to positively aspect them, how to grow from learning from. And there's no such thing as like a flaw or a bad sign. It's just sometimes the resonance, like when you play two notes together, like a triad will sound good if they, is like a major triad, as opposed to if two notes are right next to each other, they are dissonant.
Okay.
So that's how the sort of, if you think about it, I can do synergy charts, synastry charts, where I overlay your chart against your partner's chart, and we can see that conversation of the planets and like how they speak to one another, if that makes sense.
That's interesting. Nice. Hell yeah. So yeah, when we get you back on, we'll do some more stuff.
To tell you the truth, but unfortunately, Angel got here a little too early. I wasn't gonna tell you to mess with him big time. I wanted him almost in tears, or scared for his life. Scared for his life. That's what I wanted.
I'm sure she's not gonna have to pretend when we really get into it. Yeah. All right then.
Witches are scary, but you should be afraid of me. So.
Okay. On that note, then, thank you so much for coming.
Yes, thank you for having me.
That was a lot of fun.
Yes.
Cool. All right. Cool. Peace out. Yo.
Taco sandwich. I'm the pickle.
Have a good night. Bye.
Man, thank you so much.
Taco sandwich!